I originally got the Donner Hush I travel guitar enticed by a discount offer which made the guitar and a host of accessories just $212.50. And I don't regret it. It is a nice guitar for travel, to use with headphones and to get my practice in that I desperately need. And there were a few things that made me want more. The pickups, the ever so slightly compact feel of the strings, the hex tool required to tune it and remove the frame for travel. None of those are deal breakers, but when I saw the Hush X guitar from Donner also, it was clear that at least those things would be improved, and I thought perhaps more, so I went for it. I got the Hush X in the mahogany sunburst finish just to compare to the mahogany natural of the Hush I, and both are actually quite nice. I originally got the Hush I guitar for travel. One, because I played it at NAMM 2024 in LA, and I really liked it. It had some advantages over my previous guitar for travel, which was the Traveler Ultra-Light Acoustic Electric. I have really enjoyed this, but there were certain things missing, and one of them was the ability to plug in headphones really simply without any kind of amplification. So I loved the Hush I for that when I tried it, but there were certain things about the Hush I that bothered me enough to think, well, maybe I could get more. So I went for the Hush X, hoping to solve those problems, and I'll explain what those things are. So let's compare all three. The Traveler Acoustic Electric Ultralight, the Donner Hush I, and the Donner Hush X. Now, rumor has it from NAMM that the Hush I will have a new version called the Hush I Pro, which I'm not going to cover here because it's not released yet. First, the price. When I bought the Traveler Ultralight Acoustic Electric, it was $299, which I think is still true. The Hush I is listed at $249, but I got it for $212.50, including some really good accessories, including earplugs, a really nice case, and a clip-on tuner. And of course the necessities like the tools and things to tune it. The Hush X is listed for $359, including almost the same accessories as the Hush I. Now, the cases for the Hush X and the Hush I are really, really good. They're well padded, they've got extra room for accessories, but they are slightly bigger than the case for the Traveler Acoustic Electric Ultralight. Now, that's because the sizes of these guitars are different as well. Let's talk about size. The length of the Hush X guitar is 31 inches long. The Hush I is actually a little bit longer, probably due to the shape. It's 32 inches long. And the Traveler Ultralight Acoustic Electric is the smallest at 28 3/8 inches. The width is very similar. 6 inches for the Hush X, 6 inches for the Hush I, that's without the frames. It's 11.5 inches for the Hush I and 12 inches with the frames. And the Traveler Ultralight is 5.5 inches without the frame, and 9 inches with the frame. So you can see that the Traveler Ultralight Acoustic Electric has the advantage of a smaller size for travel. The depth and thickness of all of these is about 2 inches. Now the weight is another big difference. 4 pounds 10 ounces for the Hush X, 3 pounds 6 ounces for the Hush I, and only 2 pounds 12 ounces for the Traveler Ultralight Acoustic Electric. That's a fairly big difference. Now let's talk about some of the playing features. The Hush X actually has 22 frets compared to the Hush I, which is 20 frets. The interesting thing is, even though the Traveler is much smaller than both of these, it also has 22 frets. Now the pickups make a big difference, and this is one of the main reasons why I wanted to switch to the Hush X. The Hush I and the Traveler Ultralight Acoustic Electric have piezo mics, which means those are mics inside the body of the guitar. Piezo mics are contact mics, so the string sounds, because of the piezo mic and sometimes touching the body, can be quite loud and quite noticeable. The Hush X has what I'll call real guitar pickups, a humbucker by the bridge and a single coil pickup closer to the neck. And it's got the controls to allow you to switch between the bridge pickup, both pickups, and the neck pickup separately. Talking about the controls, the Hush X has a volume control and a tone control combined into one unit. The Hush I has some controls as well. It's got a volume control and a 2-band EQ with low and high controls separately. It also has a phase switch so that if you are getting feedback, you can try to remove that using the phase switch. Now, both of these guitars have inputs for audio and outputs for your headphones. So you can actually listen to external music through your headphones while you're playing the guitar and hear both. That's quite nice. And they both have, the Hush X and the Hush I, 9-volt batteries, which are actually included with the kit. The Traveler Ultra-Light Acoustic Electric actually has no controls. There's nothing else you can adjust on this guitar. All three of these guitars have 1/4-inch outputs for an amplifier. On the Hush X, it's on the side near the headphone. On the Hush I, the amp output is built into the strap lock, and on the Traveler Acoustic Electric, it's also built into the strap lock. Now let's talk about these frames. This is another reason why I wanted to switch and try another guitar. The Traveler Acoustic Electric has this bottom frame, which actually can come out pretty easily, which I like for travel. It's easy to remove and easy to put back, but you can see that it's fairly thin, and that is not very comfortable on your leg, but I like that it comes off easily. When I got the Hush I was pleased with the frame, particularly the look of it, the top frame and the bottom frame. But two things were wrong. One is, it requires a tool to remove it and put it back. Not a big deal, but it's an inconvenience when you're traveling. And two, this bottom frame is also fairly thin. It does have a flat surface, which makes it more comfortable than the Traveler, but it is pretty thin. And this is where the Hush X shined in my view. Two things about it. One is, it's removable without a tool. So you can just lift this up and pull it off, and then it locks back into place. And it's much thicker. It's more like 3/4 of an inch versus 3/8 of an inch on the Hush I. I will probably travel with this without the top frame because it just adds weight. And as you heard before, the weight of the Hush X is actually significantly different than the Traveler, and a little bit more than 1 pound more than the Hush I. The tuners was another thing about the Hush I that made me want to upgrade. These tuners are quite nice, and they look like they're hand tuners, but they're actually a little too tight to turn by hand sometimes. So it comes with a tool, an Allen key, built into the body, which is nice and convenient. The Hush X actually has tuners that are easily hand tunable. They're a little close together, but I like the fact that they save the space in the back versus the Hush I. Traveler Acoustic Electric has the tuners right here by hand. It's a strange position, but actually quite innovative, and it works quite well, and you can do it with your hands. It's a little hard to get your fingers in there, but it works. The way the strings go onto the tuners is also quite different. On the Hush I, it's wound strings like normal tuners on a guitar that you'd have a headstock at. So the ends of the strings go in the top of the neck, and the strings are then wound to the tuners here. On the Hush X, it's quite different. The ends of the strings go into the battery compartment in there, and then the strings are brought around up through these adjusters into the top of the neck. And then a tool is used to lock the ends of the strings in place. And on the Traveler, again, wound normally around the tuners, and the ends of the strings go at the top of the neck. Now let's talk about the adjustments available. The setup of the Hush X has many more options because you can adjust the string height, each individual string separately. It also has a truss rod that's available underneath that plate. I'm assuming you can also change the height of the single coil and the humbucker because there are 2 screws on each. The Hush I doesn't have much in the way of setup. It does have a truss rod underneath that plate, but that's about it. There's nothing you can really do for individual string height. And the Traveler, very similar. There's very little you can do to adjust this Traveler for setup. There is a truss rod that's available here, but that's it. Now, as I mentioned, when you're traveling with these, you take off the frames and the travel cases vary in size, very similar to the way the bodies vary in size. The Traveler Ultralight is only about 30.5 inches long and 6.5 inches wide when it's in the case. The Hush I is about 33.5 inches long and 7 inches wide, and the Hush X is about 32.5 inches long and 8 inches wide. For me, the comfort and sound and setup flexibility of the Hush X is what made it really worth the extra cost, in my opinion. The extra 1.25 pounds of weight, not a great thing for me, but I'll put up with that for the other options. Honestly, all 3 of these guitars are worth a look. I think for the money, if you can get the deal on the Hush I and you're looking for something inexpensive, it's a really nice option. If you don't need anything more than just a practice guitar. The Traveler, if you need something really small, lightweight, easy to travel with, but also just something that you can listen to without any amplification, or if you've got the ability to play it through an amp. And the Hush X is just an all-around real guitar, even though it's not going to compete with your Stratocaster or your Les Paul. It's actually something that you can listen to quietly, or you can plug into an amp and get some really strong sound out of. And it's got the setup options of changing string height and other things that the others just don't have. So we're going to risk doing a little bit of a comparison. This is the Traveler piezo mic, recording over the air in front of a small Fender amp. You can hear what it sounds like as much as possible. Really hard to compare these on a YouTube video, but just so you can hear a little bit of what it sounds like. The only two mics are the mic that I'm wearing and its partner mic that's on the floor in front of the small amp, set to a basic clean setting. Middle, neck. Neck doesn't sound that different when it's alone, which makes me think the neck pickup is overpowering the humbucker. Neck, both, humbucker.